How's it going, everybody? My name is Ryan45678 and welcome back to the Md65 Romanian Underfolder AK build. Last time we got the front trunnion riveted, and in this video we're going to get the barrel populated and headspace, and we're going to do the bottom two swell-neck rivets on the front trunnion that I forgot to do last time. Enjoy! Next step is barrel install. So we're going to put the barrel in, but before we do that, the way to line it up that I saw was take this on a more flat surface than this. Turn it upside down. That should be flat. And same thing on, you put the barrel, the handguard retainer on the barrel, and then you do the same thing with the barrel. You line it up. They should both be flat on that surface, and then you push it in to kind of set it, and then smack it with a rubber mallet or a brass hammer or something to fully set it there. And then you take it to the press, and then you start pressing in, and then we get to headspace it. All right, handguard retainer is on. It's a little bit loose. That's tight. It's wiggly. So it's not, it's not that much play is not going to be that big of a deal for, worst case, I can just do a wiggle, put it in the middle. That'll be good. We'll get some grease on the barrel journal, line it up on a flat surface, and smack it in there, and then press it in. All right, so real quick, before we go set headspace, I'm going to disassemble the bolt, because typically you don't want the extractor there to interfere with your headspace reading. Now, there is a notch cut out on at least the gauges I have, the headspace gauges, but it's, I don't know, there's always a chance that you don't align it properly and you get a bad reading, so it's better just to take it out. So firing pin, retainer pin is pretty easy. Just push it out. It honestly doesn't take much, and I don't know if it has a direction, but I'm just going to go with putting it in back in that direction, same way it came out, and then firing pin comes out. And then for the extractor, it's this big one right here. Kind of want to push down on it to unspring, and then that was actually really easy. And there is this little notch at the end that you kind of have to put in this way. You'll see it when the other pin tries to go in. There's a little witness hole right here where you can see that it's, well, it actually is the hole for that pin, but if it's not clear, you'll know. Then just take that out, spring as well. And we'll go ahead and put these in a baggie so we don't lose them. And we are good to go to set headspace off of this bolt. And just one last thing while I'm here, before we go to the press, I did line this up. So I did this on the mill surface, the, what do you call it? The track, I don't know. And then I oiled after I oiled the barrel, and then pushed it in, then whacked it with a mallet, checked it again, and it was good. So that is lined up. Let's now go ahead and check our alignment by testing the bolt and carrier. Make sure well, that's not the alignment. We're check and make sure there's nothing wrong with the receiver, or that I didn't somehow tweak it. Bolt and carrier. It won't focus, I'm sorry, but the bolt is in. There. Seems to, yeah. There we go. And it slides on the rails just fine. It is hanging up a little bit, but it's also doesn't have the recoil spring or the gas tube to line it up. All right, here's the setup. I don't really have a whole lot of room to set up the camera, so I'll just show it. The piece of stock running through it. I think it's 1 by 1.5. I didn't measure it. And then I have a piece of cardboard underneath because the bullet guide sticks out down further than the trunnion itself. So hopefully that'll prevent any damage from occurring. And then the brass puck here, and hopefully that is enough to press it in, which sounds like it is. See it moving? Get it pressed in there. Check headspace after a bit. So now I'm going the other way. I went a little bit overboard pressing it in, so now I got to press the barrel back out a little bit. What I'm doing for that is this press plate by Requiem, which this one seems to fit okay. No complaints there. A couple pennies on the chamber to protect it. And then I'm going to try to use this same steel bar, assuming that it will clear, which looks like yes. And then press it out just one little tick. This way is actually easier because I don't have to juggle a whole bunch of stuff, putting the rod through it and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully it'll be just 1 or 2 ticks. It'll be headspace. Of course, what helps is if you have it in the right hole. Small hole would be pressing the barrel into the trunnion if you didn't have it riveted. The big hole is for bypassing the barrel, and the press is pressing the barrel, holding the trunnion in place, so that helps. And we are headspaced. It took a little bit of back and forth, but I finally got it exactly how I want it. And so here is our no-go. Stick that bad boy in there. There we go. See, we are at got about a 3/4 of an inch of gap. Won't go any further, and sorry, I should have left that. So I'm gonna have a heck of a time. There we go. Pull out our no-go. Change to our go gauge. Oh, but we're not headspaced, you say. Take a live round. Yes, we are. That's what I call tight headspace. That's the same thing I did on the Galil, and it works flawlessly. Just because if you can, why would you not have as tight of headspace as possible that closes on a live round? So next thing is barrel pinhole. It's going to be a little tricky to figure out exactly how to get that lined up, but I may just have to, obviously without the bolted carrier, but what I may have to do is clamp it here, because this left side of the trunnion has some metal to clamp onto. Very carefully on the bottom here, because that's just sheet steel. There's nothing holding that. So I'd have to clamp it very gently. And then this, once it's lined up straight, just carefully use the mill, drill that barrel pin hole. All right, what we got going on here is a flat piece under here, rivets on the other side so they don't interfere. It's fairly well flat, clamped down ever so slightly, just to where, sorry, this is not clamped down, but this is not going to wiggle in the vise. So as long as we're careful and don't go too fast. And then we'll line it up, get our pinhole drilled. So I think I'm actually going to start with a drill bit. That's fairly well lined up going down in there until it hits the barrel. So I think we're okay. Let's see what happens. So, as it turns out, hand drill is a little bit easier, just because you can kind of actually control the angle, because you know it's gonna go off center. With the mill, you don't really have control. It's gonna drift. It's gonna go and right into the trunnion. So, hand drill, you actually have some control. Going up a size, because it actually looks pretty good right now. I mean, it's a little boogered up, but the reamer will get it. I just need to get it better than that first. So, good news is that is roughly drilled. The barrel pin is going to work. I'll still need to ream it, because I might have to take the drill bit from AK Builder for the exact correct size for that hole if the reamer doesn't fit, and then it should be good for the pinhole. So here we are after reaming, or not reaming, a finishing pass with the 7mm bit on both sides, kind of pulling it down, pulling the drill down to the bottom, because that's where it needs to go, and not bite into the trunnion. We'll check with the reamer real quick. I take that back. No reamer. That is a 0.300 reamer, 0.3 inches. The barrel pin is 2.27, and which I'm assuming is 7mm. I don't know why I bought a 300,000ths reamer, but it is what it is. I'll just ream with the 7mm bit as best I can, but not too much. Well, the pin is almost in there. I actually was able to get it with squeezing it in the vise, obviously protecting the ends and stuff. But we went to the press. It's dark right now, and so it's kind of hard to see what you're doing with a light. And I had it supported with a piece of metal right here, and then the press head just coming down on it. Actually had it facing this way, and the problem was I didn't have enough support here or here, and so every time, once it got to close to the end, when I would press it, it would want to tip the receiver like that. So I need more support underneath. I think maybe a bar across here and a bar across here. That would probably do it. Yeah, a bar on the, say this is the bottom, say a bar here, so that I'm not putting pressure on the sheet metal. All right, we got daylight again. Here's what we got for pressing the barrel pin. A screw and support underneath with 2 pieces of metal. The barrel press plate under the trunnion, this other piece under the receiver. Scratch that. That was kind of, looked like it might have been about to bend the receiver, so no. Found something better. The press plate from earlier fits where the rivets go. I may still need some support here underneath, but we'll see. I think something like this will work, because it's the trunnion flat against everything, and this pressing the pin in. If I had something metal here, I would use it, but I don't. That'll have to do. I don't think it's actually doing anything though. Oh yeah, that's going in, and it's just about in. That's probably as far as, I don't know how far it needs to stick out at the back. Looks like we could have stopped a little bit short of flush, so I'm going to pump that back out a tiny bit the other direction. And I'd say that's just about perfect. Now, on to the obvious, if you haven't noticed already. I'm a dum-dum, and I forgot the back bottom rivets on the trunnion. That one, and that one, if you can probably can't see it, but today we're gonna do a different method without the jig because I can't anymore. I'm gonna do something like a paper transfer if I can to guesstimate the hole, and hopefully I get it accurate enough with a small drill bit to where I can just drill it out. If not, I will file it in to the correct position and then drill it out. So what I'm thinking is, I don't know that a paper transfer is going to work very well because this is not flat enough to really line it up real well, because I need to get in there and then find the hole on the other side. Same with this one. What I'm thinking of doing is just measuring. So I can see that this little lip right here is either even, it kind of looks centered on the hole to me. So if I took roughly the same position here, measured from the outside to that hole centered, and then transferred that measurement from right here to the outside, then I think I would have my mark. And then drill a tiny pinhole, see where it's at, and then go from there. So here's what I've got. If I stick it in there, I have it about, hopefully you can see that, about to the center of the hole on the bottom. Sorry, I can barely see that, to be honest. And from there to the top is this measurement, 3.86. And then I put it here, straight, not lined up with the receiver, straight. If I put the marker right about there, that's just about perfect. And I'm gonna drill a pilot hole and see how that goes. Okay, so I'm gonna say right about here. Center punch it real quick. Okay, that looks about right. I mean, it's not going to be exactly perfect, but it should at least be close, and I'll know, I think. Okay, that looks right to me. I'm just going to drill it. I should probably add this in the drill press, but there's a little bitty divot there, and that's basically right in the middle. I might need to go with the smaller bit, so it might be a tiny bit off center, but it's pretty good. Okay, let's keep going. I couldn't find a smaller bit, so I'm just gonna say that this is okay. Okay, that is not the right size hole. It's small. It's smaller than the actual hole, but we're through. I could go ahead and drill the other one all the way over there. It's fairly straight, but I don't know. That's pretty darn close. Just needs a filing out, maybe another bit. I may just drill through that, just so I don't have to locate it again and risk missing the hole. So, got that in line with the hole. I'm just gonna drill it. not bad. That one we already did, and this new one. And you can see they're fairly well lined up. I'm gonna file them in and or drill it to the right size. I actually don't know exactly the right size for the dimple or the swell-neck rivets, but we'll see. I think they're the same. Sorry, I forgot to record that, but basically I did this, and we're good. So here comes the dimpling. I got a socket, which just happens to be almost the right length, and I've shimmed it with a piece of cardboard. Professional, I know. There's the drywall screw head method. There's the ball bearing method. Depends on what I can find. I'm gonna dimple it somehow. All right, here we go. Ready to dimple. I'm not sure that well, I know I didn't cut these the same length. This one on the right has more head sticking out, or more shank sticking out. This one I cut pretty close to the head, so we'll see. But I got them kind of lined up. They should dimple pretty easily, I think. Yeah, that really doesn't look like it dimpled. So I'm hoping you can see it at this angle. This rivet is not flush yet. I did do a little small chamfer. I'm just gonna do it. This is a big drill bit. I don't know what size, but it's bigger than the hole by a lot. That could be enough. Let's see if it sits flush. Almost. Just a little bit more, probably. Yeah, just a little. I hate to do that because that thins the metal, but it's a flush head rivet, and that'll sit better than a flat rivet when it's supposed to be swell neck. So that'll give it a different angle of grip, and so it should be stronger either way, I believe, unless I'm wrong. And almost. I mean, even if it was here, it would be pretty good. Yeah, we need a steeper angle. It's already quite a lot done to it, so I don't want to do too much. I think that's probably gonna have to work. It's pretty flush. That. Yeah, I don't know. I did run across like build tutorials from the Weapons Guild of people doing it this way. So I imagine it's got to be better than not doing anything or using the wrong rivet, or even using a swell neck rivet without dimpling. That seems like the worst option. That's pretty flush. I'd call that almost good. But that's gonna be probably as good as it's gonna get on my part. And I wasn't recording. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I'd say that's pretty good. It's not perfect. I could maybe squeeze on this one a little bit more on this back side and get it flush, more flush. And look, it kind of dimpled itself a tiny bit. And then this one is actually a lot better, nicer, smoother. And the backs are pretty good. Nice and flat. Nice and flat. So I'm happy with that. All right, next up is the rear sight block. We're gonna press that on. And I'm gonna do what Babyface P did in his video and use that to base where we place that based on how the top cover fits. So we shall see how that goes. See if it lines up with this at all. And then once we have that, I'm gonna check the handguard fit, because I am not sure how that is gonna interface with the where we have this set. That could be an issue because the slot is already drilled. All right, first things first, put this on. I'll grease it up once we're ready to press, but it goes about to here. And then it kind of gets tight. And so it should I mean, it's lined up pretty good. It'll center itself, I think. Yeah, that's gonna have to go on with the press. So I'm gonna take my barrel plate. That'll be perfect to put this in here. And then I'll take my bar and press all the way down in here onto the chamber again, just like I was when I was pressing the barrel out a tiny bit, of course with something there to keep it from hurting itself. All right, so here's the setup like I was talking about. The plate, the flat side, because these holes do have a chamfer on one side. I want as much contact as possible, so flat side. Pennies on top of the chamber, protect the chamber. And this bar, I once again to press. Too far. The only thing I don't have is the rear trunnion because I kind of need this space without it. That's kind of annoying. Okay, with the rear trunnion just pinned in with the rivets, it sits even further back. Hopefully you can see there's quite a bit of a gap there still. It needs to go further. And I think we're good to go. There's no gap in the front anymore. See that? It's tight up against the sight block, and it was a tight fit to get this on here. So let me take this off, take the rear trunnion off, and then we'll drill and pin the front sight block, or rear sight block, sorry. So before I drill and pin the front sight block, which I guess I could do this after, but while I'm thinking about it, I wanted to fit the handguard just in case I needed to adjust the dust cover to fit the handguard. But in trying to fit the handguard, I noticed that this is very, very tight. It does not want to go in there. I'm going to have to either take some off of here, which I don't think it's bent. I think it's just tight. And it's not really sharp, although I could run a file on it real quick just to see if that's the hold up. And then if not, I need to sand around here on the dong. Dong. And I don't think this will have changed much. And no, it did not. I'm gonna have to take some material off that section to get it to fit, because it's not binding on anything else. It's binding on that fit right there. Mostly it seems like on the top, although some on the side, so maybe all the way around. So it's actually the trunnion that's in the way. So I'm gonna either have to file away from here where the trunnion is, or underneath some more. I think, I don't know. It's probably better to file away where the trunnion is. It's kind of difficult though. Okay, so I've got it on a really tight fit, and I think I'm gonna leave it that way. It's extremely tight, but you can wiggle it back out, so that's fine. I'm gonna see where it sits on the retainer, and it couldn't be a better fit, because look, springy, and then tighten it down. Look at that, perfect. That's as good of a fit as it's gonna get. And then this one, just like that. It's pretty good, I'd say. It's beginning to look a lot like an AK. Look at that. It looks good. And this is a little bit weird without the rear trunnion, but it's looking good. Let's get that that rear sight block pin drilled and pressed in. Alright, so I'm using a smaller drill bit than what goes in here. Hopefully that'll work. And the hand drill did seem to do better for me than the mill. Not too bad. Clean it up with the actual size bit, I think. Well, I got it. I definitely wallowed it out some on the sight block, which is unfortunate, but it was a tough pin to drill. It goes in about that much by hand, which is about almost half until it hits the barrel. I'm gonna see if I can press it in with the vise. Yeah, so far so good. Just being careful not to bend it or something else irreversible, but so far it's going in. Which is good, because I was afraid it wouldn't be tight enough for a press fit at that point. Okay. I think the last little bit I'll have to press with the press, which is fine. It's going in, but it's very tight. I'm gonna leave it at that here for now, and then we'll finish in the press. So this should be a fairly easy pin to press. I've just got the that little pin here. Everything else is flat up to the trunnion. So I've got that in the hole. I'm just gonna use that just to keep it from getting squished, and then press the pin. Here is that pin. It is pinned very nicely. It was a hard press. I definitely could have maybe relieved a little bit more on the inside, but not much before it would risk being too loose. All right, so next up is the gas block, and for that we're going to do a couple things. I'm going to put the handguard retainer on so we don't forget. So if you forget that and then you press the gas block on, you're going to have to press it back off to put that on. Then we'll get the gas tube on, which is going to help us line up the gas block. And for now, at least, I don't know if I'll do this while pressing, because I would have to hold this in somehow, but I'm going to put the bolt and carrier in. That way, you can see that this is lined up, which you can see that. It's lined up. It's pretty good. I'm going to say that yes, we probably should have all this together when I press that on, just because I want to line it up. And I don't want to line it up with the gas tube and then find that the piston sits like this. That would not be good. So we're going to keep it centered, which, to be fair, this does rattle quite a bit. It has movement, so honestly, I mean, it goes side to side. I think it's fine. If we just, we're just verifying it here that it is centered for the most part, if we have these two pieces mating. So I may tape those or something just to hold them there while we then go and press the gas block on. So for the sake of showing you really quick, what I'm going to be doing is taking these, make sure they're lined up, taking the gas block, which, there we go, getting it lined up straight, and this will end up being a little bit raised, it looks like, but that's fairly close. That's lined up fairly good. So as long as we get that smacked in there at about this point, I'll grease up the oil up the journal, then line it up again, smack it on there, and then we'll take it to the press. It should be pretty simple. Just the fact of taking the plate here on the bottom and then running that bar back through the to the chamber. Now this gas block is dirty. I don't know if you can see it, but you hopefully saw the initial video. That's green all the way back there. I can clean that up later. I just don't feel like it because I want to get this thing together. There's no easy way to smack this with a hammer, so I'm gonna get it as good as I can, like that. By hand, just kind of press fit on there a little, like that. That's about as close as I can tell by eye. Maybe a tiny bit that way. There we go. And that looks good to me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take ye old PVC pipe and then okay, let's hope that stayed straight. I'll check it. Yeah, it looks like it. I'd say that's good. The rest of this we can do on the press. All right, here's the setup. This thing is basically on the floor. Got the plate. I had to do a washer and then make sure it hit here, because otherwise if it was too far this way it would slip off. It needs to contact here and here. This bar with the pennies on the chamber and all the way to the press. It wanted to shift. I finally got it to go straight. There's probably a better way. And then shoot. All right, that was a annoying thing to press, but I got it tight and everything how I want it. However, I didn't get it lined up straight as I thought I did. So unfortunately, it's perfect as far as how tight it is. Comes off easy. Goes on easy. Except that it's not lined up straight. And you can see if you look down it. I don't know if you can want to look down it. Hopefully you can see the top of the sight block. I don't know if I rotated it too much, or if I just didn't, or if it shifted, but it is tilted a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can whack it with a hammer, a mallet, I mean, sorry. So that actually worked pretty well. I got the handguard on, or the dong, just to make sure. It does need to go a little bit more this way, but that big whack, I'll see if I can do it again and show you. Really did it. So I'm gonna hold it by the sight base so I don't tweak anything else, and then let's see. That's almost there. Probably one more good small hit. And look though, it is loose now, so I am gonna need to press it one more click, but that's fine. It's if it's lined up. So just one more solid whack. That should do it. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Maybe even a slight bit too far. Let me actually, no, I'd say that's just about right. So let's go to the press to give it one more click. We should be good to go. Now that is absolute perfection. Solid, very tight. You do have to work at it to get it off, but it does come off. Same to put it on. It goes on easy. No wobble there at all. And then tighten it. I don't even have to go all the way. I could. There's really no reason to. I'll just keep it on the detent. Heck yeah. Now we gotta pin this bad boy. Drill and pin. I guess I'm gonna try with the hand drill again. If that doesn't go well, we'll do the mill. But the problem is I don't know how to get this straight if I were to put it on the mill, and I would inevitably drill into my gas block where I don't want it to be, and I would hate myself, so I'm not doing that. Holes are done. We'll see. I know I definitely didn't do a good job on this bottom one. This top one was all right. They should press in though. Oh, and did I mention when I was drilling these holes, the first one I broke the drill bit? That's okay. I was actually still able to use the end of it that was left to ream it out once I got the holes drilled to the different size. These, honestly, I could have done with a punch. It kind of worked with a punch, but I just didn't want to chance it in case it didn't. But when I tapped them flush, they were fine. So next step, front sight block. And one thing to note is it goes this way front because there's a little spring and a detent that goes here for the muzzle device, which I don't think I have one that fits these threads, but this is going to go on like that. We're going to have to eyeball it to line it up and hammer it on. We can tweak it with the hammer once it's hammered on a little bit. And then I'm not going to pin it until I shoot it, because if I need to rotate it, then I'm going to be sorry that I pinned it. So what I ended up doing, because I tried the press, I had it supported with a bar through the trunnion, and I had various things to try, like a socket and just stuff to try to get it to press, but it looked like it was going to bend the barrel. So I took it off the press. What I ended up doing was taking a socket. A PVC pipe worked at first, but it got too tight. I tried to protect it with cardboard over here, which it worked somewhat. But even still, I hit it very hard at the end and it messed it up, which not too bad here, pretty bad here. I can probably peen that over, not right now because this is not pinned yet. I don't want to get it out of rotation. It's a shame, but it's not too bad. And I can, yeah, like I said, I can peen that back over, at least on the side. And that's going to be covered by the muzzle device for the most part. Which, funny thing is, if I included this in the video, when I was looking at the kit, I was trying to screw it on like an idiot. I was like, it's not the right threads. Well, dummy, that's because it's a left-hand thread. And it does go on. And it's a good thing I stopped when I did, because I was trying to get to that shoulder, but I just kept hitting it, and it wasn't moving, and hence the damage marks. But if you look carefully, once I get this all the way in, at this point, if I were to try to go any further, it's kind of hard to tell, but you would have run out of thread on the muzzle device. It would have bottomed out before you hit the front sight, and it could have potentially been an issue where there's a gap and it wouldn't tighten all the way, and then you have to deal with that. So let me put the detent on there and do that really quick. Also, in case you were wondering, it was an 18mm socket. This is the one that fit over there pretty good without any real chance of hitting the threads. I mean, it did look like I boogered them a tiny bit, but obviously the thing still screws on, so no worries there. Okay, let's go over this. One thing I will have to remember when I pin this is to put this detent in. Well, I mean, it's not a huge deal. If I forget, just drift the pin out a little bit and put it in. But anyway, I believe this is the correct spring. It looks like it works right to me when I put it in there. So just stick it in there. This cutout section is for the sight pin. So you would push it in, do your sight pin, and this is obviously too small. Let me get it another punch. Aha, there we go. Good enough. That serves the purpose. Anyway, you go and thread this on here. And I believe the detent will catch it right here. See at the top? And that shows you exactly where it needs to sit. And so I actually don't know how far you want to have this, but I would say pretty close to flush as you can. So maybe that's about as far as I can turn it without having it go any, like if I went further, it would go a partial turn. So I'm gonna it'll have to be here. and that's where you would set it. So same thing to undo, just a little bit annoying to have to hold that detent pin back, but not too bad. Oh yeah, it would help if I actually took the pin out. And then the spring, just because we can't do that yet. And so I'll shoot it without the brake, obviously, the first time before we pin it, just to make sure it's hitting where it's supposed to.